Hello everyone, Mike here. I haven't done a whole lot of video work in a couple of years because there's some things I've been working on, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about a 3D printer that I bought. It's an Ender 3 and I absolutely love it. And I bought it about 2.5 months ago, and it's been, it's been an experience and required some education, and luckily I have a mechanical aptitude and background, being a injection molding technician and a treadmill repair service technician and a few other jobs that required some kind of a mechanical ability. That's not to say that anybody can't pick up on this and you know go go running, but the problem comes in when you start having a problem with almost any 3D printer that I know of, and from what I can find listening to other videos on YouTube, there's zero tech support for them. There's nobody that, in fact, when I bought this from Micro Center, the one I have now, um, it says, they got a big old sign that says no tech support on 3D printers, and they've got hundreds stacked up in the store, these 3D Ender 3 Pros for $200. It's a great value if you want to get into 3D printing. But the problem comes in when you start having problems with the printer. You got to track down the issue, yourself. And there's a few people that I'm connected to on Facebook. When I post this video, they'll say, well, you should have done this, or you should have done that. Well, when they went through it themselves, I know they didn't buy a 3D printer and were experts on it and knew everything that they needed to do. They had to do research. And that's kind of what this video is about. I mean, you can ask for help all the time, but your tech support from people that you ask, you don't really know what their background or expertise is. They just say they know. And they may know. I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody that's tried to help out. But the best way to learn is to have problems. And to problem solve, it helps to have a mechanical background or aptitude, at least an aptitude. Because things will go wrong with a 3D printer. My prints started getting a little bit crappy, and there were some things that I did, minor maintenance things that I did to what I thought remedied the problem, but it didn't. It just prolonged the final breakdown of what was going on, and I didn't know at the time that the little problems I was having before the big problem was an indication that, okay, this needs to be fixed now, or you're going to have a failure. And if you've got a print that's a 2-day print and you set it up to print and you walk away from it, because you're not going to sit around and watch a print for 2 days and then and then come back and see either a big old pile of string, plastic string on the bed, or you see all kinds of imperfections in the print, or you may not see a print at all. And that's kind of what happened on my last print. What happened was the extruder system from the driver, that's the stepping motor with a gear, that's the driver that runs the filament down through a tube into the hot end of the extruder. Well, the hot end, from what I can see from when I took the nozzle apart, the plastic was going through fine, but what happened is over time the plastic started building up and it backed up, and I already threw it away, or I'd show you. The plastic kind of backed up into the tube. That tube is a nylon tube that is resistant to heat but not heat proof. So what happened was the plastic very slowly seeped up, backed up into the cold filament, and finally just fused this end up in here that didn't allow the extruder motor to push the filament through so that it could go through the hot end of the extruder. So no big deal. I mean, it was a cheap fix. I mean, you go on Amazon, you can buy the upgraded extruder gear system for like $12 or something, and it comes with a new upgraded higher heat tube. And I bought a better, supposedly better hot end nozzle for the extruder. All that's being taken care of. It's not a problem. Here's the problem. This is the stepping motor that drives the filament. The filament goes across here. There's another little pulley that pushes the filament up against this gear, and the gear pulls the filament through. So if you look at this gear, can you see what's wrong? Well, it's not really wrong, but it is wrong when you try to replace it with this gear that came with the kit, all right? This gear has set screws in it. This gear does not. So I attempted to pull this off, and it won't pull off. I was thinking about using a pair of pliers, and to be honest with you, I did. I just kind of put the pliers under there, and they're bent nose pliers, heavy duty ones, and I kind of thought, well, I'll pry it apart. Well, it was a little bit harder, and I didn't put tons of pressure on. I just put enough pressure on there where it should have just slipped off, and it didn't. So this is heavily pressed on. So I had to buy a tool. So now I've got, 12, probably close to $25 with this end here mechanism and the hot end, the hot end that needs to be replaced on there as well. So there's two mechanical parts to this extruding system for the 3D printer, and the stepping motor is the first part that has to drive the plastic filament into the hot end. Anyway, I had to order a tool, and I probably could have made a tool. It was no big deal. I could have made a tool and probably popped that thing off of there, but I'm just getting so tired of making tools. I've got tons of tools. I've got gear pullers, but it wouldn't reach or fit in to be able to pull this. So I just bought an RC remote control, cars, airplane, or whatever, to pull gears, and it'll do that just fine. So now the other problem comes in, just being mechanical, and I know the properties of how gears work and slip, and with this being pressed on as tightly as it has been, it'll come off easily with that puller. But to put this one on, my bet is the inside diameter of this gear is slightly undersized, maybe a tenth of a millimeter smaller. The diameter of the inside of this gear is smaller than the outside diameter of the shaft, which is why they're able to press that on there and not have a problem with it slipping. I actually like a mechanical connection better with these set screws. There's two of them, one there and one there. And what I'll do is when I pull this off, I'll put a flat edge on this with my Dremel tool, and it'll slip on, and I can tighten it down, and I'll be back in business. But the whole point is to just, I'm not really giving a how-to, I'm just giving a heads up if you're thinking about getting a 3D printer. They're awesome, they're fun, you'll have a blast with it, but just be aware that there are things that you're going to have to do to maintain it so that these things don't happen. And because if I would have maintained it properly, I'd still be using the stock heat end for the extruder, and I wouldn't even be thinking about changing out the stock piece that helps drive the filament through this gear. It was my mistake by laying that plastic back up, like I said, in through the nozzle and up into that tube, and it just fused everything. It didn't allow. If I would have kept an eye on it, I mean, I can't even pull the tube out because it's fused in there. So my bet is, and I've seen pictures on other videos where the end of the tube was fried, expanded or whatever. But I'm not doing a how-to video because there's plenty of really good videos out there on how to replace these things. Again, this is just a heads up. If you've had this problem before, post it in the comment section below on this video on YouTube, and let me know what you went through and how you fixed it. That would be good. I'm the admin for a few fly fishing groups on Facebook. If you want to join, the one that I own and manage is the Frugal Fly Rodder on Facebook. You go to the Frugal Fly Rodder and join, and I'll be talking about some of this kind of stuff occasionally. This video is probably going to end up on my on my What's Mike Making Now channel. Both channels have been neglected for a couple of years because of work, but I'm fully retired now and I'll be getting back on producing videos. Anyway, again, if you're thinking about getting a 3D printer, I mean, go for it. The price is right, but just be aware that there are going to be mechanical things that issues that you're going to have to address at one point or another in the life cycle of a 3D printer. This is Mike. Until the next video, we'll catch you later.